Hi everybody. Now you may well have watched my video about what's new in 1.1.5, what's coming in 1.1.5. Well, basically, I'm kind of very excited about the ability for console players, especially, and console modders, sorry, on their Nitrado servers, to be able to easily spawn in buildings and structures and objects. So, for example, here up at the northeast airfield, we've got an ATC tower, a couple of C-130 wrecks. There's some tents there. There's a police station sunk into the ground. There's a leaning over smokestack, and there is a green mountain tower. Very easy to do. So in this video I'm going to show you how it works, a kind of a preamble if you like for when it comes out on official. Things may well change because I'm working with the experimental version of the game, but you'll get a gist of how it works and what to expect, and you'll kind of get an idea of kind of how easy it is. Now below this video I'll put links in the description to the 1.1.5 blog post, the 1.1.5 changelog, and most importantly the DayZ gameplay settings and object spawner, and I guess I'll throw in the weather one as well, articles that Bohemia Interactive have produced for their wiki that explain how to do this. So the first thing you kind of do is in your server DayZ.config file. Alright, what you've got to do, so server DayZ.config, you've got to add another line that says enable CFG gameplay equals 1 semicolon. It does explain this in the stuff. And that then turns on your ability to change things like stamina and importantly spawn items in. Now you may well be saying, well wait a minute Rob, on console we don't have access to the server DayZ.config. You're right, we don't. However, what I'm expecting is that Nitrado in the settings menu, they're going to add another tick box down here, or something that will allow you to tick and then be able to turn this stuff on. Basically, in the settings section on your Nitrado, this is your server DayZ.config file. Now, it may be that we get a checkbox that says enable advanced settings. That's what you have on PC on Nitrado. And then when you go into it, you actually see the server DayZ.config file for real that you can go through. But you know, that's how it'll work. You'll have to put in enable CFG gameplay file equals 1, or it will be a tick box on the Nitrado web interface. Then what that does, that then activates the CFG gameplay.json file. Now this lives in your mission folder on your server. Here we go, in the main part here. What was it called again? CFG gameplay.json. So there it is, CFG gameplay.json. Now, in the documentation on Bohemia Interactive's wiki, they say that it isn't, you've got to copy it from somewhere else. But on my version of the experimental server that I downloaded, it was here ready to go. And then when you open up CFG gameplay.json, there's lots of different stuff, but the thing that you have to change is there is a part under where it says world data. There's a bit that says object spawners are, and then in between the square brackets and the inverted commas or the quotation marks, you need to put the file name for a JSON file that you will then create. So you create a JSON file, which is just a text file. I've called mine spawnerdata.json, and that's going to contain all the names and coordinates of the things you want to spawn in. You can call it whatever you like, and you can also have a number of these files as well. If we look at the documentation again, if we scroll down, they give you an example there, you know, where they say they've got my spawn data 1, my spawn data 2, my spawn data 3, etc. So you can have a number of files. Now these files must be kept in your, the main directory of your mission folder. So there's mine down there. You see it there? Spawnerdata.json. And what this file looks like is this. So you have to follow their format, and they do give you a template to copy, but basically object, so name, land tower 2 TCT base. So this is the green mountain big tower that I spawned in. And then you've got pos, which is your X, Y, and Z. So X and Y being X and Z being like the across and up coordinates, and Z is the altitude of the item. Now, from what I've worked out, you do have to put the correct altitudes in. If you don't, things don't just drop onto the ground. Now, that may well change, and there may be a method for getting around that, but you can't just put 0 for the altitude and hope it drops in like you can when you use the effects JSON file to spawn stuff in. So it's a little bit tricky that way. And then you've got your pitch and rotation. So this is how you can get things to lean over or spin around, so you can sort out the way that they're going to be. Negative values in your Y will put stuff, depending on the altitude they're on, could put stuff underneath the ground. And so all you do is you put in the name of the item. And what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description below the video to a fairly new, a list of names for things that are in the game that you can spawn in, because it's not always obvious what means what. And you spawn those things in, and then they will spawn in. So we've got land tower base, TC2, land tower mid, land tower top. And then we've got down here, so we've got the Rex, the land rec C130, land rec C130J. So as you can see, it's very, very simple to do. And that then leads to something like this on your map. So you fire up your server, and these items will spawn in, and they're much more solid than if you're using an event, the event method as well. As of recording this video, I'm not sure how you can get items to spawn into these structures. And I have had some trouble with stuff clipping as well. Again, this may have been just me. If you have stuff too close together and the models are physically clipping into each other, I don't think they'll spawn, but I could be wrong on that. I need to do some more experimenting. So now you're saying, well, okay, Rob, how do I get the X, Y, and Z coordinates for these items to spawn in? Well, if you're lucky enough to have a PC or laptop that can run DayZ, basically what you want to do is you load Dab's DayZ editor, and I'll put a link in the description below the video. And this is, you get this game, you fire up DayZ and you get this, which is a very, very useful editor that can export JSON files. Now, if you haven't got access to a PC or laptop that can run DayZ and the DayZ editor mod, you're probably going to have to use something like the iSurvive map. The problem is, though, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that you've got the coordinates that keep changing. The problem, iSurvive doesn't give you the doesn't give you the altitude. It doesn't give you the Y. It just gives you the X and the Z. Now, there's different ways of getting the altitude from the game. One of the most popular is you spawn in with someone else on your server, and you get them to punch you, and then you look in the logs, and that will then say player so-and-so punch player so-and-so at, and it gives you the exact coordinates. Or you can commit suicide, that sort of stuff, and then you'll have your altitude, so you can then put stuff in. That's quite a long-winded way of doing it, but it definitely does work. So let's go back to so this method, though, is so brilliant. So let's say if you're using DayZ Editor, I want to spawn something in. So all you need to do is you just search for something. So I don't know, say we want to search for, if we just search for land, we get all the buildings, don't we? Land construction crane. Let's put a crane on our airfield. So we just drag it over. And what you can do is, if you put DayZ Editor into, I think it's ground mode, as you move it around, stuff stays on the ground. And then what we could then do is we can spin it. We can move it up and down if we want to. Put it underneath the ground. So I don't want that. I want it to be on top. I think if we press Shift, we can spin it around. There we go. So we could spin it around like so. And then you can go in and we could just check it's not off the ground, because I'm good at doing that. It looks like it's in the right place, doesn't it? If we click up there. So land construction crane. So there it is. It's all there, ready to go. So all we need to do now is to get the coordinates for this, you just go File, Export, Export to COM JSON. Click on that. Scroll down here. Put in your titles. So crane test, and you export that, and that then it's exported everything else as well, all these things, but that is now exported to a JSON file. So if you then go to where the editor saves them, which is normally in your documents, DayZ editor, and then where is it? Crane test.json. If we then edit that with Notepad++, it's probably down the bottom, this would be the last one. There we go. So we've got land construction crane. So there it is. Now, unfortunately, let's get rid of that. The formatting is slightly different to what the spawn data JSON wants. You'll see that this one has pos, whereas this one says param. But it's okay. What we can do is if we go to the top and we just copy the land tower TC2 base. So we go from the squiggly bracket to the squiggly bracket with a comma. We just copy that and then paste that, and then go back to our other JSON. So we can just copy land construction crane like so. Oop. Paste that on top of there. Oop. My copy and paste skills leave a lot to be desired. And then we just copy the X, Y, and Z like that. And just paste that on top. And then we can copy the roll, pitch, and yaw. Ooh, if I did the right ones. And then if we save that, that is now done. Highly recommend you use something like the JSON formatter and validator, so copy your file in there to make sure you haven't made any mistakes. But that file is now done. So if we save that and then we were to restart our server, on the restart, that crane would then spawn in where it was. And it is that easy to spawn items in. It's nice and solid. It works very, very well. And it, yeah, what can I say? Well done, DayZ, for adding this in. There's lots of other things in the CFG gameplay.json. See, we've got disabling base damage, disabling container damage. This is the stamina stuff. So you see you've got all these sprint stamina modifiers. So I've changed them to 0 so that there's unlimited stamina. And then you've got your building structuring stuff. So if you watch my other video, you'll know that you can now turn off clipping. So you see where these says 1, so that means I've disabled colliding box check, disabled colliding player check, disabled is clipping roof check. If you disable all those by putting a 1 next to them and these ones down here, if you make all those 1s, it means that you can build anywhere. So you can build a structure almost anywhere. So you could build a watchtower clipping into the side of an existing building to get onto the roof, or by the side of a tree, or you could build a gate in front of something. Yeah, it really is absolutely amazing. And so that's how you do that bit. And then there's the weather.xml where we can change the weather stuff. And yeah, so there we go. That is how the structure spawning system works. Very simple to do. The tricky bit obviously is getting the coordinates. So this is the bit that you're going to have to play around with, and that's why having access to a PC or laptop that can play DayZ, that means that you can you can drag stuff around the map, is definitely a big advantage. So you can export these files as a JSON. So for example, that I don't think that would work because that barn is clipping into the crane. You'd have to move it somewhere else, probably like that. So there we go. That's how it works. Again, there may well be changes when it comes to the full release of 1.15, but that should give you a good taster of how it works, how the editing works, and get you set up for when you want to get in there and start modding your console servers, especially to add in all these custom structures to bring your own flavour to your private community server. Right, that's enough from me. If you found the video useful, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.